What up, my people? Back with another story for y'all. So I was sitting back reminiscing, right, the other day, and I started thinking back to childhood. You know, the stuff that we used to go through through childhood or whatever. I was just kind of like sitting back, like thinking, like, man, what's one of the worst things that ever happened to me when I was a child, man? And I remember, when I was younger, we used to live in Cleveland, before we moved out to the suburbs. And I remember it was right around the time when we was about to move, my dad had went out and bought us, like, we went out and got our school clothes or whatever. So my mom would take us to the store to get our school clothes, and my dad, I remember he would always take us to get our school shoes or something like that. But I remember for sure that my dad went out and bought me, these my school shoes or whatever. And I get my new school shoes home, and y'all knew we wasn't supposed to be wearing our school stuff right before school started. But my parents, they was at work, so I was like, yeah, they ain't gonna know about this. So, I get my school shoes and I'm wearing them outside, and I'm walking down the street with them thinking I'm cool, trying my best to not mess my shoes up, right? So I'm walking, that new shoe walk where you don't want to bend your creases, so you walk with the flat feet, like a duck or whatever. So I remember I was with one of my friends, and I tried to remind him about this story, but for some odd reason he don't remember being there. And I told him, I said, man, it was you, man. You was with me when this happened. And we were real little though. So I remember I had my shoes on, and we were walking down, like crossing over 131st. And we was walking by this place called, like, y'all probably, if you from Cleveland, you probably know, but it was called the Cotton Club. And when we was walking, we had crossed over these train tracks or whatever, and I had my new shoes on. I thought I was that man. So I'm walking, and he was like to my right, and we walked past this. It's like a building on the corner. The train tracks right behind the building. The train tracks go right behind the building. And then we were walking up the street, and we were walking down Miles. So while we was walking, we cut past this building. Man, next thing I know, out of nowhere, somebody jumped on my damn back. Man, I was like, what the? And it wasn't another little kid, because it was just somebody heavy, man. And they like jumped on my back. And the next thing I know, I fell to the ground. I'm like, oh man. And somebody was like on me, like holding me down. And the next thing I know, I looked back, and the dude flipped me over. And it was a grown man. It was a grown damn man. He flipped me over and snatched my shoes off my feet. Man, listen. So my boy, I'm telling him that he was there. I'm like, dude, I know this was you, because I'm looking. I remember this. He jumped on the dude back, and he was trying to fight the dude. And I'm over there on the ground squirming. And he jumped on the dude back, but he was just a grown man. So I think he was a grown man, unless he was just a older, like a big older kid. I think he may have been like an older kid, but I was a little kid. So he snatched my shoes off my feet, and my boy, he just threw him to the ground, and then he ran behind that building, ran off down the tracks. So I'm like, oh, I'm sick. I can't remember if I started crying or whatever, but all I know is I got up, I got socks on, and I gotta walk all the way home with damn socks on, man. I was sick. But it ain't nothing worse to me than what happened next, right? So, I ended up going home. I told my parents, I told my brothers. My dad was on fire. First of all, I'm thinking it's over for me, because I wore my shoes outside and should have had them on. So I got the wrath for that. Boy, why you got your damn school shoes on? And then you ain't in the schools, and you ain't supposed to have them shoes on. So I got all of that. And then my dad got my brother in the car, my brothers, and I believe they went out looking for the dude, because I think they knew who the person was, maybe, or they heard about the dude or whatever. So they went riding around looking for him, but I don't think, I'm pretty positive nothing ever happened after that. So then cut to, the worst thing ever happened next. The worst thing in the world happened next. Stay tuned.